Well, we have a few press conferences to go over regarding some of the players. We heard from Jaylen Herz. We heard from Cam Jurgens, Nakobe Dean. I want to go over a few of those. Terrion Arnold has finished his pre-draft visit with the Philadelphia Eagles, what it means and what it looks like going forward with a week and a half left until the NFL draft. So let's get into it all.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. So, because of the volunteer of the workouts that have been going on, and obviously more press conferences have come out with specific players to definitely talk about. But first, let's go over quick news of pre-draft visits. Terrion Arnold just finished his pre-draft visit with the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay, so they've already interviewed both of the outside cornerbacks for Alabama, and it just seems like, yeah, Alabama is just one of those schools the Eagles just are going to have a lot more interest in going forward. And Teran Arnold is a solid corner. I don't think he's a 22 prospect, but I think he's a trade-up type prospect going into this draft as a very good, solid outside guy. But I still question things, and I say this over and over, almost it's like a broken record, being a dead horse at this point. When you have Bradbury here, and I don't think these guys can necessarily play inside right now, and I'm just keep thinking in my head over and over again, like, is there something behind the scenes we don't know about? Could James Bradbury be cut? I mean, if we had an empty position there, then it would make things a lot easier to say that the choices are endless when it comes to cornerback with Quinion Mitchell and some of these other guys are coming out. Nate Wiggins. I mean, you have the pick of the litter, and I'm not saying at 22 you could draft one of these guys. There's no doubt. With Teran Arnold, I think he's going to be a little bit higher in this draft, but you never know. So that is the news. Obviously, he's visited a lot of teams so far. Just visit his pre-draft visit with the Eagles, which is great. So hopefully we'll get more information on this later on of what it means. Now going into the press conferences, quickly with Jaylen Herz, and coming off of a season that we did where the Eagles just fell apart. Last 7 games did not play up to par the whole entire season. The offense never had a dominating performance, and Jaylen Herz was unfortunately handicapped from striving to be better last year between the coaching staff and the route combinations and not using middle of the field and barely running with a spectacular running back that could have been used a lot more. There's just so much more that goes into it. We can talk about this over and over again. But yeah, I mean, from 2021 to 2022, it's really the only time where Jaylen Herz has really had a consistent, offensive coordinator. I mean, he's been through multiple offensive coordinators really since, college. And, unfortunately, I think it's time they really have to, and I'm hoping that Kellen Moore is the right guy. Now, between we go all these press conferences, okay, most of these players have not had, they've talked to these coordinators, but not really much about football too much. Like, they haven't gone on the field and, insert a brand new offense yet. Like, these guys aren't in full pads yet. So they've only been in like very small talks with the coordinators and stuff. So we can't really expect much right now. But Jaylen Herz says he's willing to be a sponge in the room and learn as much as he possibly can with this new scheme. And like I said, I hope this is the last time we have to talk about an offensive coordinator being in Philadelphia. At least more than 2 years, more than a year, something like that. I mean, it really depends on Nick Sirianni and how much no involvement, he has in this offense. And I hope he doesn't. It does not sound like he's even involved at all at this point. But going back to work in this offseason, Jaylen Hertz's number one priority is garnishing those relationships with guys. You talked about Saquon Barkley and how important it is to have that relationship with him, and how he's excited for him to be in the backfield this year. And I think there's a lot of excitement with Eagle fans with Saquon being here and this whole offense as a whole. Now you locked up Devontae Smith. You locked up your left side of the offensive line with Landon Dickerson and Jordan Mailata. And there's only good things to come. Some of the PR things that he said in here, nothing crazy, but it's just getting back to work. I can't wait to see the offseason program, how different it is, what it looks like. The Eagles are bringing minicamp back which is great because, like the Eagles haven't done that. You know what I mean? They were one of 3 teams that didn't have minicamp because most of the times they were deep in the playoffs or in the Super Bowl. So, but the practices have made it look like how we look like in games, and when you practice soft, you play soft in these. In these big games every week, and everything counts towards the bigger goal, which is a Super Bowl. So, I think Jaylen Herz is going to be fine. I haven't really made Jaylen Herz videos all offseason because he's the last player I'm really worried about. We know what Jaylen Herz can do. Might be Eagle fans out there that think he's bad, that he could have made better decisions last year. But, you're put into a system and you have to follow that system. And, your coaches don't know how to build up an offense, write up an offense play style just every week. You have these meetings with your quarterback. The head coaches have their meetings with the quarterback and the coordinators every week, and it seems like things just didn't work out last year. But we're not on to last year. We're on to this year. And, yes, it's important to talk about last year because you have to, it was a bona fide, pretty good offensive roster that didn't get much production under this coaching staff, and I think Nick kind of dug a big hole for himself at the end of the day. So it's just been kind of crazy. But this is a new year, new team, new coordinators. Coordinators hopefully have more control, and Jaylen Herz is here to learn everything he possibly can. And can't wait to see the diversity of play calling that we're going to get this year. Pre-snap motion, RPOs. Throws in the middle. How he uses the running backs in the passing game. He loves, Kellen Moore loves tight ends. This is going to be the best roster that Kellen Moore has ever coached when it comes to on paper of what we look like. Yeah, I think by a mile it is. Keenan Allen had his best season with the Chargers last year in his whole entire career, over 30 years old. So to have 2 number 1 receivers, Dallas Goedert, this offensive line, and having Saquon and then Jaylen Herz getting his speed back, no knee problems, getting that speed that we desperately need, and hopefully not overusing Hertz too much where he gets hurt too many times or hit too many times like he did early last year is really gonna make things a huge difference. Yeah, so very excited for Jaylen Herz, and like I said, this is very early process right now, but they're not putting in a brand new offense yet. Like, this is the starting point of getting the guys together, and and hopefully we'll see more game plan what this thing looks like later on. So very excited for that. Now, Cam Jurgens, comes in. He's got a lot of pressure on him this year. I think we all know this, okay? Now, because of Cam Jurgens taking over for Jason Kelce, now there hasn't really been answers of Jurgens saying he's going to center at all. I think that was kind of on the hush-hush during this press conference. But he did lose some weight. I guess he said he stayed the same weight, but probably got more leaner because he looks not skinny, but there were some pictures that came out that he looked pretty thin, but a lot more in shape. He says he likes to drop weight in the off season for the off season program and kind of gain it back before the season starts. So he says it was obviously he wants to create himself as his own player, as his own person. He doesn't want to be. Because unfortunately, the media is going to put him against Jason Kelce, and the thing is, like, Jason Kelce has helped him so much, and I think him getting those reps at guard last year really helped him. Instead of redshirting for another year, because realistically, this is his 3rd year already, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So they have to get this guy prepared, get this guy ready. To play that big role, depending on what the Eagles do in the draft. If they're going after Jackson Powers Johnson, or they want to get a J.C. Latham. It really depends what happens here in that first round. I know they'll draft an offensive lineman sooner or later, but is the main plan to keep Jurgens at center as a replacement for Jason Kelce? We'll see. Okay, so obviously playing next to Jason Kelce as a guard has helped him. Just getting those reps really did help. I was afraid last year that they were gonna not play him at all. They couldn't afford to redshirt him for another year, and thank God they didn't, because I think the more reps he gets, and just think about it, like, he's playing both positions. At practice as the second team, he's playing a lot of center, but as the first team, he was playing a lot of guards. So we'll see what happens here, but the draft is going to designate a lot of things depending who they draft offensive line wise, to see if he's staying at guard or he's going to center. If they're not moving up in this draft in the first round for Jackson Powers, I think he will be the center here, and obviously it'll be between Matt Hennessy, Tyler Steen, and whoever else they draft. You got to, you need some depth at tackle right now. I think Lane Johnson's replacement in a couple years. The left side is pretty solidified, but we'll see what happens. Whether you want to go for a Cooper Beebe or you want a guy who goes multiple positions. So we'll see what happens. But I think the one thing he's trying to do is just be his own person, not be compared to Kelsey. And that's what I want to. I don't want him to end up being like him. I want him to be his own type of player. And I think that's the most important thing coming out of going into an offseason like this, where you've had two really good players that have been here for years, and Fletcher Cox and Jason Kelsey. Brandon Graham's going to retire after this year, so these young guys have to step up. Jurgens was handpicked by Jason Kelsey, and in collaboration with Howie Roseman, Jeff Stoutland, and Jeff Stoutland knows how to take care of his offensive lines. I'm excited for Beef Jerky to get into it, and we'll see what happens with him. See. Happy for him that he's healthy, he's ready to go, and we're ready. And lastly, we're going to go over Nakobe Dean. Okay, now Dean, he's excited to play with Devin White. Devin White tried to recruit him to LSU in 2019, which they already have that established relationship, which is good. But this is a linebacker core that wasn't touched on last year. Last year they went into last year and said, "Oh, we have Nakobe Dean, we're fine." That's when they went into him. They went into the offseason like that, not really caring too much, just giving 1-year deals out. But once Nakobe Dean started getting hurt, got hurt in the offseason program, I think the number one thing with all these players, doesn't matter who it is, you miss time, you missed the whole offseason program due to injury, man, you are way behind. Okay, not only that, but he was hurt 3 times. He was already 1 in the offseason. He was hurt 2 times during the season, was on the IR 2 times, which is too many times. Like, the availability, I don't even know, and I can't really say he was bad, he was good. Every player was bad in this defense, okay? Everybody was bad. You want to go statistics, that's fine, but everybody played bad throughout the year, okay? The availability is the number one thing we need to see for. I mean, the guy's got to show up to play a football game for us. I mean, you've signed a few linebackers, Odin Burks and some of these other guys, Zach Bond, special teamer. Devin White, I think, is going to really revive his career in Philadelphia. We've seen flashes a couple years ago in 22 where he was coming in where we were up by a couple touchdowns at the end of the game, and he would get some playing time, and really, even in 22 in that offseason, like preseason games, he really showed some good things. So. But that was just a sample size. It wasn't much to say that Nakobe Dean is the guy. The guy's been hurt nonstop. So he's got a lot of competition in front of him this year. And if he's not healthy, I'm pretty much done with Nakobe Dean after this. If he gets hurt and he just can't stay healthy and he's out multiple weeks, like a lot of weeks, it's just to a point now where the Eagles are still going to try to change direction, and I wonder if they're going to add another linebacker in this draft, and they better add one. Edgerrin Cooper in the second round, they better go after somebody, because I think another body has got to be there, because I'm sorry, but the more bodies you have, the better it's going to be, and I think they should draft one in the second round, somewhat. We'll see. There's Junior Colson. I don't care who it is, but somebody at this point. Jeremiah Trotter Jr., if that's the where they want to go. Like I said, linebacker has been, the Eagles don't put much money into that position. We didn't get an all-pro in free agency, but I think you have some cap effective type guys that are going to really be working their asses off and coming into this camp, and we'll see. Devin White is definitely up there for me. I know, as a player that hasn't lived up to the 4th, 5th overall pick, but has consistently been good against pressure against quarterbacks, can shoot the gap and do some good things like that. So I think is a big re-sign candidate for later on. But Nakobe Dean, this is like a make it or break it, year for him as much as Jordan Davis. You know what I mean? He's got to show something. He hasn't showed us anything, and being injured isn't gonna keep him on this team. And Howie Roseman is just gonna keep adding bodies and adding bodies and adding bodies. So I wonder if there is a linebacker up there they're gonna draft really high in the second round this year. Second round's got a lot of value when it comes to multiple positions, and the Eagles have 50 and 53. So there's always good trade ups, trade backs, depending what they do. And we'll see. So Nakobe Dean, I like him as a person. I like him as a player. I know what he could do, but when you're not available, you can't show much of anything, and that's where we're at with him right now. I know we've had press conferences with Dallas Goddard and a couple others, but Brandon Graham and stuff like that. But it's a lot of PR stuff, and we'll see if they add to the tight end group. See if they add more defensive line this year. Especially in the first round, we'll see. But those are the press conferences from a few players. Definitely talk about here. Terrion Arnold on the pre-draft visit. We'll see where that goes going forward. And that's it. So let me know what you guys think about the press conference in general. Jaylen Herz, Cam Jurgens, what you expect him to be this year. You guys let me know. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Kicks what up, follow side. Peace out, guys. Peace.